everyone. And
Yan, welcome everyone dito sa latest episode ng Medyo Malamig, Medyo Mainit. Yan, parating na yung mga ibang kasama natin. But here we are, RNC. Kamusta ka, Chris? Good to see you, brother.
oh,
Look, we're looking strong.
yeah, thank you, man. Okay naman di sa Pilipinas. Kaya lang, as usual, umuulan. It hasn't stopped raining. Alam mo, it'll stop maybe for half a day. Tapos uulan na naman. And that just seems to be the common thing now. It's just raining. So I'm sure you're enjoying the lovely cold weather there sa UK. So
No, I know.
ayan si Mark.
Speaking of
Mukhang masama ang
lovely.
loob.
Yan, kamusta naman, Mark, ang ating
Ayun.
on the move mobile reporter journalist. Kamusta naman, Mark? How are you naman? How's the traffic? Models of Manila. Ang ganda ng shirt, ah.
Mm.
Okay naman, okay naman. Wala lang kasi signal sa ano eh, sa unit eh, kaya lumalabas ako. Hindi pa naayos yung internet eh.
Thank you guys. Pasensya na again for the misunderstanding. 8 hours behind na pala ako. So there was a daytime adjustment pala over the weekend. So kasalanan ko na hindi natuloy over the weekend. So I'm so thankful guys na natuloy tayo today because I think meron ng expectation na at least once a week magsama tayo. Because I think people like this kind of parang ensemble style of discussion. So habang inintay natin si Attorney Jess, because I want to ask also on constitutional issues, vis-a-vis the ICI, yung precedents ng Truth Commission ni Aquino, etc. Before going there, guys, let's have an interesting discussion. Mark and Chris. Maybe I'll start with you, Chris, kasi ikaw naman nag-host dito. Chris, what do you think about this whole Michelin star debate happening? Kasi umuulan ngayon ng debate, arguments and counter-arguments on the Michelin star issue. What do you think about that?
Well, to begin with, I think it's a good thing that the Michelin Star whole food program is finally in the Philippines at nakapili sila ng mga bibigyan ng kanilang Michelin Star. I think that's amazing. And nakita nga natin yung effect do sa mga karinderya na biglang napupuno na bigla dahil lang nabigyan sila ng recognition by Michelin, the Michelin Guide, di ba? Ngayon, yung sa mga controversies, alam mo sa akin, I think lang talaga may mga iba nagsa-sour grape. But I don't know much about ano ba yung talagang issue nila, to be honest with you. I didn't quite follow the issue. All I did was follow the recommendations and I'm planning to actually try yung mga iba't ibang mga restaurants na yun na na-feature sa Michelin Star. Yung mga nandito sa Manila pupuntahan ko.
Oo. Ikaw, Mark, anong basa mo? What's the debate out there and also your personal opinion? So, mayroon tayong Michelin Guide,
Oh,
Michelin Select 1 star, and then 1 2 star. 3 star yung highest. Wala palang
oh.
5 star.
Yung Bib Gourmand, di ba? Yung mga ganun. Kumbaga, naano tayo eh, sa mga bagong terms na nilabas nun sa Michelin Guide. Dalawa kasi yung ano eh, dalawa yung pinag-uusapan na pwedeng matignan dito eh. Una is yung issue ng validation, di ba? Yung sinasabi ng mga critics na hindi tayo kumukuha dapat ng validation from ibang bansa pagdating sa mga restaurants natin. Pero ang iniisip ko din naman, dito sa local, ano ba yung, where can we get our validation dito sa local, di ba? Wala namang exactly. Tapos pag may naglabas pa sa local, bias yung iisipin. Yun pa
Right.
merong local bias kasi taga ganon or tapos the other one is bias. So, the second one is yung sa kita ng mga restaurants
Mm.
na naka-include dun sa Michelin. Kasi one is validation, na-validate sila nitong international body na ito. The second one is yung dagdag na marketing, dagdag na kita, dagdag na new customers. And ang hindi din tinitingnan siguro ng mga critic dito sa buong Michelin is yung international na ano eh, yung mga international na, yung mga tourists na maghahanap ng kakain dito, siguro titingin sila dun sa Michelin guide nila. So dagdag benta ito, dagdag kita ito dun sa mga na-included na restaurants without them spending any for ano eh, for promotion, di ba? So ako hindi ko talaga magets din bakit kailangan may ano, ba't kailangan may magalit. Una, wala namang local na validation. Ang merong validation, Richard, yung mga vloggers. Ang problema, yung mga vloggers, pare-pareho na sinasabi. Di ba? Kumbaga, lahat masarap pagdating doon sa mga food
Oo.
vloggers na Pinoy.
Basta libre, masarap.
Yun ang problema. Oo, so sa akin maganda din na merong foreign na kumbaga alam mong walang local bias. 'Di ba? Wala naman sigurong issue na binabatong ganun sa Michelin, 'di ba? Na merong bias sila towards a certain restaurant or something. Malawak nga yung range from yun sa talagang mamahaling restaurant at meron pang mga ilang mga karinderya na nakasama na I'm looking forward din na nakainan, no. So dagdag benta talaga sa kanila eh. Walang negative na kahit ano para doon sa mga na nakasama doon sa listahan. Like for example, I didn't know na 90% nung pangalan na nandun, I didn't know nag-i-exist pala before sila nilabas nung Michelin. 'Di ba? Kaya kahit tayong mga Pinoy din, marami pa palang mga quality restaurants dyan na hindi natin nasusubukan.
I'll lay out something, Chris, and then I'll get back to you. No? So just to throw this out, my backdoor debate kami ngayon ni Leloy on this, because some friends like Leloy Claudia, Professor Claudia are saying parang bias. Marami kasi mga big time hindi na nakasama. I don't think nagkaroon ng star yung Metis ba yan at saka yung isa. So I think there were some snub na nangyari. May hindi rin natuwa dahil remember parang Manila and environs and Cebu and environs, right? So maraming hindi nasama. Of course, Bicol has great food, Maranao has great food, Davao has great food. So medyo I think meron din idea bakit yung Manila lang and Cebu and environs, parang ganun. So just to counter on that, first of all, by the way, it's Michelin. Um so Michelin. No, I mean, tama ka, more I'm glad we're on the same page, no. On the map tayo literally. Kung pumunta ka sa app ngayon ng Michelin Guide, literally on the map na yung mga restaurants, at least sa Manila and environs, NCR and Metro Cebu and all. So that means hindi lang pupunta dito yung mga high quality tourists kasi we want the best quality tourists, hindi lang any tourists. Pero yung mga mayayaman natin dito, magsistay din sila, gagastos sila dito. So kaysa pupunta pa sila abroad, di ba marami tayong kilala mga mayayaman, pumunta lang abroad para lang mag-Michelin na 2-star or at least 1-star. So they can do it in the Philippines. So in a sense, it directly contributes in a practical sense. Ako, aside from putting us on the map, I mean, I hate yung Western validation, desperation natin minsan. Alam mo yung nakakainis yung mga iba na parang, alam mo minsan yung mga nagiging vlogger na mga baluktot lang ng Tagalog, biglang may million views. Parang, why do we need some white dude to, like, gets ko yan. But at the same time, let's be honest. When it comes to France, they are the gold standard when it comes to refinement and fine dining. Not because the French are DNA-wise different, because sila yung nauna sa national branding, sa international diplomacy, nagsimula yan sa mga French courts, French kingdom. So kumbaga sila yung gold standard dahil sa tradition nila talaga yan, and then sumunod yung mga ibang bansa. So I don't take it against the French that they just happen to be the first in perfecting the art of national branding and fine arts. And then the other thing is, magastos kasi yan eh. You basically have to spend for them to come over here kasi yan ang pagkaalam ko hindi sila pumunta dito na on their own. Malaking ginastos yan. So, siguro kung hopefully next time mas marami tayong budget, they can go to different parts of the Philippines. Pero alam ko, nagkaroon ng debate din sa US yan because I think you have to pay them to come over. You don't pay them for the rating. You just have to pay for the logistics of them coming. Sila pa rin mag-decide who wins and not. So, hindi yan bayaran. You just have to take a... And hindi mura yan. Kasi ang dami nilang critics. And then, secret dapat. Kung baka ano yan next level yan. Parang James Bond yan. Hindi mo alam kung sino yung critic dyan. Hindi bro. So, kung baka there's a science to that. And 2 years ko na tinatanong yan sa different French ambassadors. And I'm glad na finally it's here. So shout out John. For me, last point here before I go back to Chris and Marcus, I think I opened up na the discussion here. Bakit may debate dito is, for me, let's be honest. There's a reason why medyo underappreciated ang Filipino food. So I say underappreciated because I feel we deserve more appreciation. To be honest, I think this new trend of putting a lot of sugar in our food, this new trend, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's certain ways na mainstream Filipino food has moved in a direction na perhaps hindi na appreciate internationally for a reason. So yung mga feeling nila na snub sila, I'm sure there are more deserving people out there. But I think we also have to have a soul searching here. So I saw this very good reflection by a Pampanga-based food critic at sabi niya, siguro dapat titignan natin bakit kaya hindi nasama sa Michelin yung Pampanga, etc. So I think, again, I'm in no position to make a judgment which regional food is better. And this is where Mark, better nga may outsider mag-decide because each of us think our region has the best, right? But I think it's also time for us to do some soul searching. And wala pa tayong 3-star. So hopefully this will encourage us to go higher and higher and more people ending up. Kasi yung star, yun yung medyo fine dine. Pero yung Michelin Guide, Michelin Selection, may mga pares doon, di ba? So actually, hindi siya ganun ka-elitist. While fine dining ang mga French, Michelin Guide also has a room for more mass-friendly kind of food, quality food. So for me, it's a one right step in the right direction. It puts us on the map, and it encourages the good guys to continue what they're doing. So I'll keep it there because I know, Chris and Mark, you have a lot to add on this.
Yeah, okay. So let me just add to what you said about yung issue na bakit sa Manila lang or bakit mga certain areas. Tapos marami naman na hindi pa, na masarap na restaurants na hindi na feature. Alam nyo, hindi naman ibig sabihin na hindi ka nakakuha ng Michelin star na hindi masarap yung pagkain mo. Ang ibig sabihin lang, hindi pa napupuntahan ng mga critics ng Michelin to be able to check if your food quality is good enough or not for it to get a Michelin star. That's all it means. So, I mean, come on naman, as if naman in-expect natin na iikutin nila yung buong Pilipinas agad at mapupuntahan lahat ng restaurants. To be able to do that, you would have to, wow, spend what? How many years parang just to be able to eat in all the restaurants, di ba? So, it's not about being selective. Ito lang yun na napuntahan nila at na find nila. Tapos dito lang nakita kung sino yung mga they believe actually deserve to get the star. And remember, if let's say lahat ng pinuntahan nila, none of them deserve the star, they won't give it. Ganun sila kagaling pumili. I trust their ratings kasi the rating system has been proven to be good. And dati nga, nung walang Michelin star sa Pilipinas, alala ko nga, pupunta akong Hong Kong dati para kumain sa Tim Ho Wan. Kasi dati yung Tim Ho Wan nasa Hong Kong lang eh. So pupunta ako, yun, mahaba pila, daming tao, ganun. So they're able to grow their business now. They're in the Philippines. And this is what's going to happen with these Philippine restaurants. I hope. I'm very happy for them. At sana wala tayong yung sense of parang crab mentality or inggitan na ganyan. Eventually, I think what will happen is mapupuntahan din naman yung mga ibang restaurants na to at madadagdagan din yung mga Michelin star kung papasa sila. Whether it's in Pampanga or in Cebu or Davao, wherever it may be. And that's just the fact of life. It's not about parang na-snub or hindi napansin. Mahirap lang talaga.
Ikaw, Mark, what's your take after everything we mentioned?
Dalawang bagay din. Tama yung sinabi ni Chris. And yung pag-angat ng Filipino food, Filipino cuisine, it affects the whole industry eh. It affects everyone eh. Kapag gumanda yung tingin ng mundo sa Filipino food, hindi naman yung mga ilang restaurants lang ang makikinabang. Lahat naman makikinabang. So, siguro more effort din sa parte ng gobyerno and even sa private sector siguro in sa social media, in promoting sa ibang bansa, ibang nationalities, yung Filipino food natin. Tapos meron mga efforts din, 'di ba, to improve yung like yung pagdating sa quality, pagdating sa cleanliness ng mga restaurants. It's whole of nation approach on how we are going to promote yung Filipino cuisine to be recognized as one of the best in the world. 'Di ba? So pagtulungan natin kaysa maghilahan tayo dahil nauna lang si ganito sa Michelin o na hindi eh. Kumbaga high tide raises all ships, parang ganon. And lastly, kahit sabihin mo nang we shouldn't get validation from mga western, pero nakita mo yung mukha ng mga chef, ng mukha ng mga ng mga restaurant owners, yung mukha ni Marvin Agustin. Iba eh. Iba eh. Pwede
Yeah.
mong i-validate
It
yung
matters,
hindi
pare.
mo tayo dapat iba yung ano sa kanila eh. Iba yung kumbaga kung sa profession mo, kung bilang chef, yun ang isa sa mga if not the highest na nagbibigay ng recognition sa mga restaurants eh. Kaya iba yung ngiti ng mga chef, ng mga staff nung nakuha nila yung award na yun.
Yeah.
It means a lot. Yeah. Yes, Chris.
Yeah, babanggitin ko lang that with regards to the Michelin star, tama si Mark nung sinabi nga niya na unfortunately kasi right now, pag makita mo yung mga food vlogs na yan, all of them are always praising the restaurant they go to. How many times have I seen a blog or a food vlog, whether it's video or a written one, where nakikita ko yung mga sinusulat nila, ang ganda, pupuntahan ko tong restaurant. At hindi ako nasasarapan sa pagkain. Ilang beses yung nangyari sa akin sa may restaurant akong pinuntahan sa Quezon City na maganda yung ambience. Tapos pinag-uusapan ng mga tao yung pagkain. Nung na-try ko, hindi naman siya masarap. So, parang gano'n nakita ko na mabilis tayo, mababa yung standard ng ibang mga vloggers at bloggers natin ng food. At baka nga yung iba nga binayaran lang o nilibre ng pagkain kaya hindi sila makasabi ng mga masasama o mag-criticize sa mga kinakainan nila. Having said that, alam mo nga naisip ko nga no, that I wanted at one time naisip ko nga bago ko naging political vlogger, gusto ko gumawa ng isang food blog where kinikriticize ko lang yung pagkain. So, in other words, kung ikaw isang restaurant, you would not want to be on my blog. Kasi kung nalagay ka doon, ibig sabihin malala yung problema mo at malala yung pagkain.
I mean,
Merong isang vlogger, idagdag ko lang. May isang vlogger na sikat na meron siyang nasabing negative about cafe in Iloilo. Sobrang inulan siya ng bashing. Ang sinasabi kung wala kang magandang sasabihin about sa wag ka na lang magsalita. So may ganung din eh. So medyo ingat din na magsabi ng negative about sa mga restaurants kasi yung backlash grabe din. So yun yung magandang din eh na tignan din natin na baka we should be more open to criticism. 'Di ba? Hindi yung puro puri lang.
Mm.
Yung food vloggers lahat masarap lahat.
hindi, yun nga yung problema, 'di ba? Na pag rely ka sa local, the incentive systems are not best pa. Wala pa tayo doon. Either baka sinasabi lang niya masarap kasi free or something else, or takot siya magsabi na hindi masarap dahil nga baka mapersonal ng
Oo.
data
Bumabash
katulad
siya
ng
eh.
nangyari sa akin just by saying the human development and credentials, right? By the way, this is where you need food critics, no? So I want to remind people that we used to have really a good food critic si Clinton Palanca, no? Three-time Palanca awardee. I mean, really, really one of the best we have ever had. So God bless his soul. As people know, unfortunately, we lost him a few years ago. So we really need itong mga high-quality food critics na alam natin pag may sinabi sila, hindi sila takot na mabash sila. Kung may sinabi sila, may basihan sila. Kung may sinabi sila, pinag-aralan nila to. So actually, I suggest people, there's a very good book by Clinton Palanca whereby he talks about, for me, very refreshing yun, yung reflections niya on food and food scene in the Philippines. Sabi niya, for instance, parating natin sinabi, hindi ito yung authentic Filipino. And yet, we call yung spaghetti ng Jollibee authentic. You tell me what is Filipino with spaghetti? It's Italian, right? But ginawa natin atin when we put a Filipino flavor on it. Do you get what I'm saying? So the idea that every country has a pure food na sa kanila lang, it just doesn't make sense because most of the food is a product of globalization and trade and cultural.
Mhm.
Kaya Philippines has its own version of adobo, Cuba, España, etc. So, and then let's not forget sila Aguinaldo when they declared yung ating republic, First Republic, ang food nila French. But yung king dito, when Trump was here, the food was French. Not because we need French validation, because yun yung naging standard for diplomatic, refined dining. So, what I'm saying is that we need yung people like the late Clinton Palanca who really gave professional twist dito sa food critiquing, and he did that for the Philippine Daily Inquirer for a long time. So sana we have more people like Clinton Palanca, people who have the compelling credentials, and at the same time hindi siya
Mm.
mabash siya or anything like that. So no offense sa mga vloggers, but I don't think vloggers are the right people to be food critics. We can have food critics who'll be vloggers, no problem with that, but we really need legit people to do that. So yeah, it shouldn't be Michelin lang. But sana, because of this Michelin, basically upgrade or recognition, magsimula tayo ng legit na food critic industry. So siguro, Chris, kung pwede mong pag-aralan, mag-focus ka. I'm all for it. Pero yung mga guys, subscribe to my channel, kain tayo dito, the best, ganun. Wala.
Pagbalik mo Richard, kainan natin lahat ng mga Michelin. Tapos vlog natin. Pwede no?
Pag parang ang mahal na yata. Yung
Uh,
kay Josh Bautud yata, parang hanggang next year na yata yung pila. Grabe siguro ngayon kasi siya lang yung big star sa Philippines. I tried
iunin na natin yun.
I tried to. But ito guys, I want to say one more thing. Tayo kasi consumers tayo. Guys, I hope people realize ang mahal ng industriya niyan. It's so expensive to get the right ingredients, to have the right yung mga, alam mo na, yung mga logistics, aesthetics.
Mm.
Kaya minsan marami sa kanila nalulugi guys. I know a lot of people in this industry who struggled, who got investors, but the investors were telling them what to do so they couldn't sustain it. Ang ROI ng tong business na to is 6, 7, 8 years. If ever man lang may ROI. So I hope people also realize as much as ano mo, Ilocano ako, I don't want to spend a lot on money and I can think about all the genocide and wars around the world. But iniisip ko rin, minsan we have to also support itong food industry na to. It's employing people. It's about people are sacrificing their health and years of their life to set up those good industry. So, kung kayanin, gawin natin guys, let's support, mag-ambag-ambag tayo, let's support this domestic food scene. At sana hindi puro mga contractor congressman lang nag-enjoy.
Maganda nga if mga LGUs, they could help yung mga local na mga restaurants na makilala. For example, pupunta ka sa isang bayan, sa isang probinsya, di ba? Ano bang makakainan dito? Maganda merong silang unique na, ito yung mga kainan dito, na medyo tinulungan ng LGU, kaya medyo mas maayos, mas malinis, pero authentic na food do. Hindi yung puro fast food, puro di ba maganda pupunta ka sa isang lugar, matikman mo every province, every town, kung ano yung mga specialty nila na pagkain doon.
Do you have ideas? Do you have suggestion, Mark?
Ayun, yung for every LGUs na at least to support, ewan ko, siguro to have parang sila na magtayo doon ng maliit na building for pwedeng upahan ng mga local na hindi fast foods, dapat yung mga local na
parang
talagang authentic
house,
na mga
parang
food.
culture house, yung
Parang gano'n, no?
Yeah. Gandang idea 'yon. That's
Parang for example, 'di ba yung sa Bacolod, yung 'di ba may isang lugar doon puro inasal, puro authentic na mga what if every town may ganun tayo na it wouldn't 'di ba, it would cost only one building lang for every municipality, 'di ba? It could spur tourism din. Kasi kung masarap yung local na food nila doon, dadayuhin talaga yung bayan nila. And it would help pa yung mga local businesses and yun kasi yun lang, minsan nga pupunta ka sa isang bayan, ano bang masarap dito? Ano bang minsan puro magpa-fast food ka na lang, mag-aano ka na lang. So maganda kung mapopromote siya for every province, every town, ma-promote nila yung best na pagkain nila doon.
Alam mo, banggitin ko lang Mark, that nung nangangampanya ako for councilor dito sa Mandaluyong, na-realize ko nga na umiikot ako, nakatry ako ng mga iba't ibang mga kainan dito sa Mandaluyong that I was actually recommending in my vlog. So, one of them is banana cake na isang maliit na bake shop lang to na mura lang yung banana cake. Isang buong loaf is only 70 pesos if I remember correctly. And I was so impressed at how good it was na ginawan ko siya ng vlog dahil ang sarap talaga ng banana cake niya. Tapos nalaman ko kaya pala masarap kasi yung ginagamit niya na saging ay all fresh na bananas. Walang hinahalo iba kundi saging lang talaga. And it wasn't even that sweet which was perfect for me. And it was so fresh. And apparently sila pala nagsusupply sa mga iba't ibang mga restaurants sa buong Metro Manila. So, yung mga ganun, I was so happy to promote them. And I think nga magandang idea mo that if each mayor, each city really focused on promoting their restaurant industry in their locality, my God, ang daming negosyong malalagay niyan. Mandaluyong pa lang, naisip ko na nga, dapat gumawa sila ng area na tulad ng poblasyon sa Makati. Diba? Na alam ng tao, pag pumunta ka ng, like Makati, pumunta ka ng Makati, alam mo poblasyon. Pag pumunta ka ng QC, pumunta kang Cubao X. Alam mo na, yung may mga lugar na yan na it's all
Ang
food.
hindrance naman, bawat restaurant usually is rent upa magastos sa kanilang umupa sa mataong lugar. Yung mga LGU, marami na silang real estate 'Di ba? Ano ba ipaupa nila ng mura doon sa mga the best na mga local food nila na napopromote pa nila and kumaga dagdag pang hatak tourism pa sa lugar nila, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Galing.
And
Love the culture house idea.
Yeah, and dagdag ko lang, like for example, I'll give you an example of the problem kasi with food sa atin, pag nakapunta naman kayo sa Pasig River Esplanade sa Manila, sa may Intramuros, okay. Ang ganda nun, di ba? Ang ganda nung ambience. Pero yung pagkain, unfortunately, is terrible. And the variety is, pare-pareho lang yan isang row, tapos after mga 100 meters, pareho na naman. Tapos, it's all the same and the quality is really bad. It's cheap, but it's bad quality, unfortunately. Ayan, mababash ako dahil sinabi ko yun.
Mababash ka yan. Sila Neneng B yun
Step by step. Yeah, thanks for that, Chris. I think before we make more enemies on that front, I want to also say, magpasalamat tayo kay Erwan Yusuf, no? I mean, thanks to Erwan, no? Diba ang ginagawa na, he goes region by region, he looks at their great food, so we're very lucky to have people also like Erwan doing that, baka pwede tayong magkaroon ng Erwan ratings din, di ba? I mean, he won the James Beard Awards, right, for best social media and food and all. So maybe I think we have credible people like Erwan, so who I think could really create a new culture of quality, talagang high level critique. Now, having said that, speaking of vloggers and all of that, Mark, ano sa tingin mo itong pinupush ni Senator JV about not bullying online? Kasi kanina we were talking about doing food vlogging and then mabubuli ka, mababash ka. What do you think about this in light of the tragic passing of Atienza,
Eman Atienza.
yeah,
Eman,
daughter, yeah,
Atienza.
daughter, yeah.
So, yun. So, maganda naman yung intensyon ni ni Senator JV. Tapos problema naman talaga yung bullying. Even before mauso yung mga social media, 'di ba? Uso na yung bullying sa schools. Mas nag-ramp up pa dahil nga sa online na mas marami nakakita, mas nakakahiya. Pero for example, ang unang pumasok agad sa isip ko, for example, yung mga nepo babies. 'Di ba? So kasi pasok yun doon eh. 'Di ba sila kumaga bata sila pero nababash. So how do you distinguish sino yung 'di ba? Or lahat hindi pwedeng i-bash basta a certain age, below this age bawal i-bash. So maganda yung intention niya. So I'm not sure lang kung paano siya i-implement, kung paano siya kasi yung mga fake news pa lang ngayon nahihirapan na tayong Doon pa lang nga yung mga outright na kasinungalingan tungkol sa mga tao, mahirap nang ang habulin, mahirap nang ito pa kayang bullying sa mga bata mas rampant ito, mas maraming nangyayaring ganun. So, maganda yung intention ni Senator JV, but I'm just not sure how we could kumaga use kumaga paano siya maigagawa in such a way na kumaga hindi naman kumaga it
Ma-weaponize.
doesn't lead naman to censorship o ma-weaponize too much censorship din. So, hindi ko pa din sure kung paano niya maayos na mailalatag ito bilang isang batas.
Exactly. Ikaw, Chris, what do you think about that? You're a libertarian. You must be not necessarily fond of these kinds of measures.
Well, to begin with, I think that the bill that was authored by Senator JV was more symbolic, and it was more commemorative for to with regards to the death of the daughter of Kim Atienza. Uh, I believe that it's not a necessary bill because meron na nga tayong mga current bills that address cyberbullying, libel, and all of that. Meron na eh. Uh, and I think kailangan lang talagang lagyan pa ng ipin yung mga existing bills natin. This adds another bill. But does it really do anything? What are the implementing rules and regulations? Maraming tanong yan. At again, will it encroach on freedom of speech? And then pag nakita mo nga, pag ginawa natin itong mga ganitong bill without much thought into it, it could be weaponized again, and that could be a problem. So important talaga na hinay-hinay lang. I mean, I understand JV's intention. It's good PR. Take a photo with Kim Atienza saying that, oh, we did this for Eman. There are other ways to commemorate an individual and to spread the word of anti-bullying. No problem. But to create a bill, and if it's not well written, it's very dangerous. At imagine mo kung napasa yan, tapos may nakalagay dyan na, yun na nga, bawal ang cyberbullying. Tapos bigla na lang dinamanda tayong lahat ng mga nagkomento kay Claudine ko, biglang na-demanda lahat yan. Paano na, di ba? Di dagdag na naman yung mga kaso sa korte na overloaded na nga ng mga kung ano ng mga kaso ngayon eh. Kasama nga yung kay Richard dyan, di ba? Yung dadagdagan pa natin. So, yun yung problema nun.
Yeah, I mean, going back to this, I mean, how I wish matagal, I mean, if you really want to go against online bullying, anong tawag nila sa ginagawa sa mga journalists and activists over the past 10 years, di ba? I would have loved if the senators raised this issue noon pa na openly calling for killing journalists, raping journalists. I don't want to talk about myself or
Yeah.
even attack ngay Chris more recently. Diba? Grabe. This bullying has been going on. So bakit ngayon lang nire-raise? And then second, I think in light of the fact that a lot of this bullying is because of popular frustration with mga anak ng mga politiko na nag-benefit, I just felt for a politico to come out and try to push back against that was perhaps I rather have this come from the civil society, no? Siguro parents na mga nabully ng mga anak, yung mga ibang tao na nag-suffer dahil dito sa mga online bullying, I would have seen that as more credible, or at least some groups behind that. I would also say absolutely agree with it. We already have a very dangerous precedence of yung mga anti-terror laws, ganun, na pwede weaponize kasi ang daming mga ambiguity. So, ang daming, so, maybe the intention is good. So, how do you use the intention in the right way, the good intention in the good way? Norms. I think we have to create certain norms, informal rules, isang kultura kung saan, una-una, I mean, kung yung parents mo ay successful, hindi naman trapo, hindi kasalanan na anak mo na nagbe-benefit sa successful parents. So I think we have to be clear, ano bang ibig sabihin sa nepo kid in the context of the flood control and corruption? Parang ang nangyari kasi parang kung sino-sinong inatak, porket anak ka anak mayaman ka, di ba? Hindi mo naman kasalanan na successful actors or doctors yung parents. Kung malinis naman ang galing ng pera nila, that's not their fault, di ba? Pangalawa, I think people also have to be judicious about, di ba? If you think person is going through a lot or may psychological vulnerability, etc. Maybe it's a judgment call of people. So for me, dapat more normative ito rather than introduce a law, and especially under the current conditions, because it looks like parang, I'm not saying this is this is the intention, but it could come off as this is to shield anak ng ibang mga politiko na biglang natakot because of online bashing that now they want to do what they want to do, and now they can weaponize this against anyone who criticizes what they're doing. But having said that, let's be honest, I think it really got out of control. I think there's also the culture of envy. 'Di ba? Minsan parang binabash mo lang isang tao dahil inggit ka lang. Even though walang basis and all. So that's why you have to create norms around this kind of online bullying. Pero ako, 'di ba,
Mhm.
this is what we really believe in. I hope we also create a culture of grittiness. I hate to use the word resilience. We have to also strengthen our newer generation na, di ba, tayo as someone has been bullied online for the, although mahirap akong bullied for the past years, ako, we have to strengthen yung mental resilience natin and grit natin eh. So I think these unfortunate incidents should also encourage the parents, educators, lawmakers to push for various ways to strengthen our young generation. Kasi hindi mawawala talaga yung online harassment na yan. It's just gonna get worse with AI and everything. So I think wake-up call din ito na dapat kasama sa ating edukasyon, sa ating cultural upbringing is strengthening yung mental strength, no? ng ating mga kabataan and even the older people, di ba? Kasi unfortunately, hindi talaga mawawala itong harassment na to eh.
Yeah, dagdag ko rin, Richard, Ay, sorry, Mark. Did you want to say something?
Sige, ikaw na muna.
Sige, babanggitin ko lang, quickly lang, Mark. Sorry, na yung issue naman talaga dito wasn't the cyberbullying, if you really think about it. Emma Atienza has a lot of mental issues. So, I think the real bill that should have been created was mental health.
Mental health bill, exactly.
Yes, because it didn't seem like, I mean, it's possibly part of it was cyberbullying, but I think there was a deeper issue of being bipolar, manic depressive, whatever it may be that she was struggling with already, even
That's
before she
na-trigger
was.
lang. Oo.
Yes, so maybe it wasn't even triggered by the social media. Maybe the fact that the disable yung social media niya was the reason why nagkaroon siya ng mental health na-trigger yung mental health issues niya. So I think it was misplaced valor in a way sa part ni JV Ejercito. But of course, hindi naman tatanggihan niya ni Kim Atienza, of course, diba? Kasi may ginawang magandang gesture. But I think the focus should be on mental health. And like you said, building resilience. Kasi bullying has always been around. And listen, nung panahon natin, when I was a kid, I was getting bullied. I'm fine. And the thing is, you have to teach kids how to deal with bullies. I knew how to deal with bullies bigger than me. And that's why, kahit ngayon, binubully ako, wala naman talaga akong pake eh. Kasi kailangan talaga maging tough kasi I think our society is getting softer. Mark, sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, pareho nung sa'yo eh. Yung sa mental health disorder nga. I think a better way to honor Eman is to make more accessible yung mga pwedeng gumamot or pwedeng asikaso sa mental health disorders. Kasi si Eman, mayaman na yung pamilya, 'di ba? She could get all the care she needs that money could buy. Pero yung mga ibang Pilipino na hindi ganun kayaman or wala masyadong pera, wala sila masyadong access una diagnose them eh. Baka hindi sila nadadiagnose and kung ano mang help that they would need para makakope sila dun sa kanilang mental health disorder. So I think that would be a better way to honor si Eman. Kung matulungan natin yung ibang mga
like
Pilipino
kind of
din
an
na
Eman Center on
could have
mental
the
health.
same could be.
Yeah.
Kung sana maganda yung there's
Yan.
charity or foundation parang on mental health, strengthening, etc. Baka parang yung regional mo, maybe every region should not only have a culture house, also have something for mental health among other things. Kasi ako feeling ko,
Ngayon ba do we have one right now? Baka wala pa nga. Meron ba ngayon na there's a place you could
underfunded
go
talaga
to
yung
kapag
mental health eh.
wala kang pera,
Yeah.
your family feels that you have a mental health disorder, pupunta kayo doon, parang wala din no? Maganda sana magkaroon maski isang lugar
Alam
para
mo, alam mo, nakakalungkot talaga din sa Pilipinas, Kasi may nakita nga akong parang, naalala ko, pinuntahan akong isang, uh, I'm not sure if it was a health facility. Tapos, naalala ko, when I saw the kids there, or it could be I'm not sure what it was, I don't remember that, but it was several years ago. Napansin ko, may isang bata doon that was acting like he was mentally disabled. Pero upon checking, actually, he was only deaf and mute. Pero because they did not know how to treat him, kasi nga kulang ng training ng ating mga mental health professionals siguro, yung mga nag-aalaga, parang tinrato siya na may mental disability. And because of that, he started to exhibit signs of mental disability and hindi na nag-develop yung kanyang mental capacity. Dahil doon. So yun yung problema na kahit na nga meron, kulang na nga. Kung hindi lang kulang, substandard pa, kulang sa training. And I feel bad for the people that were helping. They were trying their best, but they're just not equipped to handle mental health issues.
Idagdag ko lang din kasi nag-chat GPT ako ngayon. Tinanong ko, meron bang public facilities na pwede for mental health Ang lumabas yung diyan sa inyo, Chris, yung National Center for Mental Health. Pero yun syempre ibang klase naman ng ibang klase din ng kumbaga extreme cases ng mental health disorders. Yun pa nga syempre merong stigma. Yun pa yung isang problema, 'di ba? Merong stigma pagdating sa kapag ikaw ay magpapadiagnose o magpapaano. So dapat at least itong dito kay Eman, medyo mabura ng konti yung stigma. And yung mga tao is magpa-diagnose, magpatingin if they think that something is wrong with them.
May nagtatanong, Mark. Si Kiko,
Okay, ako lang bagitin ko lang yung binanggit ni Mark kasi the National Center for Mental Health dito sa Mandaluyong Yun place na yun I feel bad for the people in there because I saw photos from inside the National Center for Mental Health and it looks like a prison. It looks like a horror house. It does not look like a place where you will have good mental health. Kung ang idea nila is rehabilitation, improvement, so that one day you could get out and assimilate to society, that's not going to happen in this place. Again, I'm not saying it to parang throw shade at them. I'm just saying that that's the reality. Pag makita mo tong National Center for Mental Health dito sa Mandaluyong, nakakatakot talaga siya. At pag malagay ka dyan, sabi ko sa'yo, masisiraan ka lalo ng bait at hindi ka na talaga makakalabas. Nakakatakot
yung mga
lugar
facilities, mga luma na.
Yes.
Parang mga haunted na facilities,
yes.
ganun.
Yes.
Diba?
May mga rehas.
How can we start solving?
Kasi hindi nabibigyan ng budget.
Maybe we could start there.
Yan. Yan ang problema ng korupsyon. Yung mga pera na dapat napupunta sa mga ospital tulad ng mga mental health centers na ganyan ay hindi nabibigay. Kaya hindi na tutulungan ating mga kababayan dahil dyan. Yun yung malaking problema natin. Magandang segue yan.
Which means lack of prioritization. At saka hanggang ngayon meron pa rin yung parang dismissiveness. Mental health, pang mayaman lang yan. Alam mo yung ganun mindset? And then makikita mo yung taong grasa and ganun, you would think na a lot of them are people who didn't get the treatment they deserve, diba? So feeling ko that mental health education should go all the way. And para sa akin, since nag-shift na tayo sa smartphones and with AI and everything coming out, I think hindi pwede compare sa mga previous generations. Previous generations who live in analog world or even non-analog world at all, they cannot compare their experiences of stress with people who are living now almost 100% immersed, no, dito sa digital world and AI world and all of that. It's just a completely different ball game. So I hope there'll be also less dismissiveness and more open-mindedness and more openness to studying, while at the same time that doesn't mean you shouldn't strengthen yung mental health ng tao among others. Now, speaking of mental health, Mark, parang hindi gumana yung speech ni hindi gumana yung Joel yung kanyang sonorous speech about how he's against corruption, as dami pa niyang supporters. Tapos si Jinggoy tahimik na tahimik, and yet ICI kinasuhan sila. So, ano ibig sabihin niyan? Hindi gagana ang mga ganyan, hindi na sila safe talaga. Ano bang basa mo, Mark?
Oo, mukhang hindi na safe talaga at mukhang sila talaga yung unang masasampulan pagdating dito sa pagdating dito sa mga flood control na issue. Because ground zero Bulacan. Yun naman yun eh. Yun naman talaga eh. Bulacan, I think, 'di ba, isa sa mga pinakamalala pagdating sa mga ghost projects, sa mga sila Alcantara, sila Bryce, the worst of the worst talaga nangyari sa Bulacan sa mga nakikita natin so far. So talagang tatamaan talaga yung mga politiko na involved doon at maaring naglagay ng mga budget doon at mga proponent doon. Kaya talagang talaga hindi gagana talaga itong kala Senator Joel, Senator Jinggoy, at sila yung next na maimbestigahan. At people are wanting accountability, gusto na merong mapanagot na mga politiko at mukhang sila yung mga una talagang masasampulan.
Chris, what is your take on ICI recommending hindi lang Zaldico as a given, yung USEC sa DPWH was given, but were you surprised na Jinggoy at Joel sinama doon?
No, I'm not surprised because there was a lot of evidence that was showing na talagang may nakuha sila. Hindi lang witness evidence to, may documentary evidence. At mukhang matibay talaga yung ebidensya na naglilink sa kanila dito sa mga flood control issues na to at sa corruption. So hindi ako surprised whatsoever. Tignan mo ito pa lang yung first na masasampulan. Marami pa yan eh. But I think like sinabi nga naman talaga ng ICI at the President BBM na hinay-hinay lang dahil kailangan talaga pag nagsampa ng kaso ay matibay ang ebidensya kasi mahirap na kung na tinuloy natin ito, sinampahan ng kasos, makakawala din. Kasi Richard, alalahanin mo and Mark, alalahanin natin that recently, how many people were acquitted with the Napoles scandal? Ha? Tapos, pang lumalabas, parang walang may kasalanan dito sa korupsyon na nangyari kay dun sa Napoles sa pork barrel fund scandal na yan, di ba? As if walang may kasalanan. And that's why etong ginagawa ngayon, important talaga na gawin nila itong sa tamang paraan. Kasi hindi na pwede mangyari yung, and it could still happen, na, sinampahan ng kaso ngayon. The case will run for 10 years bago tayo makakuha ng verdict. Much like the Napoles issue. And after 10 years, pag nakalimutan na ng taong bayan na hindi na tayo interesado sa topic na to, bigla na lang announcement, acquitted na naman. Wow. 'Di ba? Or kaya pardoned, 'di ba? So, yun ang iwasan talaga natin kasi hindi na pwede mangyari yan eh. I mean, at the rate we're going right now, if that happens again, we really have a problem. We're gonna have a bigger problem in the near future.
Correct, correct. I mean, I want to go back to this and ask you also guys about this, no, na sa tingin nyo ba, is ICI moving fast enough? Is it adjusting enough, with them opening it up na to public hearings? You think they're working well ba with Ombudsman and potentially also with the Supreme Court? Anong basa ni John? And by the way, naniwala ba kayo na si Cheese ang pinakamahirap na senador? I mean, that was really too much. Mark, ano bang, ikaw, give an explanation. How could Cheese be the poorest senator? Mas poor pa kay Rizon, di ba? I mean,
Sige, Mark,
Sige,
ikaw,
bago ako
unahin mo na.
magsabi
Mark, ikaw.
bago ako magsabi kay Cheese, yung sa ICI, I think yung budget muna. Yung pace nila ngayon, okay naman, gumagalaw naman, tatrabaho naman sila. Pero wala pa silang budget eh. Ewan ko may pumasok na bagong budget. Hindi sila well-funded. They could do more work, they could hire more investigators, they could do a lot more stuff done. Get more stuff done. Kasi isang lugar pa lang yun eh. Ang daming probinsya, ang daming ano. Nung na-interview ko si Magalong last week lang ba yon? Sabi niya, they were operating out of pocket. Na something this important, something na ganito kinaklamor yung tao, wala pa lang sufficient budget pa at that time. So maganda kung mapasa kaagad yung batas for the ICI. Tapos mabigyan na ng budget para mas mabilis tumakbo. It could always run faster. It could always move at a quicker pace. Pero hindi ka nga tatakbo ng maayos kung namumblema kayo pati ba naman sa pera kung saan kukunin, di ba?
Wait, so
So
you're
yun.
an important question before we go to Cheese. So, sige, balikan natin. Sino ulit yung nagsampa ng kaso sa Supreme Court na i-declare as unconstitutional itong ICI na to? So, ICI, kasi there are different schools of thought, diba? One school of thought is ICI is not empowered enough. Another school of thought is, no, ICI is just gonna help ombudsman. At the end of the day, the ombudsman has all the budget to do all the investigation.
Ombudsman pa din.
And then there's a third school of thought, which is itong petitions to the Supreme Court, which is it violates the Equal Protection Clause because limited ang coverage ito at may conflict of interest. Kasi executive ang gumawa, executive din galing sa DPWH, so may conflict of interest. Sino ba tong tao na parang Barzaga din yung hairstyle niya? Sino ba to? Ang dami nagtatanong DDS ba to? Pink pa ito? Or ano, itong high school teacher na ito na I think tumakbo rin laban kay ano yun, di ba? Cynthia Villar. Nag-congressman candidate din yan. Ano bang alam natin dyan, Mark?
Sorry, wala akong alam dyan masyado. Hindi ko nasundan eh. Ikaw ba, Chris?
Ako naman,
Hindi ko sineryoso kasi.
yeah, ako hindi ko sineryoso yun eh. To be honest with you, it seemed like a frivolous case. But like anything, for me, ang problem talaga with the ICI, and I agree with Marcus, wala talaga siyang budget. And if you look at the ICI, they're supposed to be an investigative body. Pero ang ginagawa nila ay panay mga hearings, interviews, pumupunta yung mga tao sa kanila. You need an investigator on the ground. Yun ang wala nila. At least from what it seems, na ang ginagawa lang nila, nag-iimbita ng mga tao, explain your side, explain your side. They need investigators on the ground. Or kung wala nun, then at least they should be able to command the DPWH to be able to check all of these things. Pero at the same time, hindi pwedeng ang DPWH mag-check sa mga trabahong yun kasi nga sila yung kasabwat eh. Karamihan ng tao sa loob ng ahensya yan ay kasabwat. Parang yun nangyari na ininvestiga ng Senado natin the other day. Last week or 2 weeks ago, ininvestigate nila yung customs. Tapos yung customs nakaupo sa harapan nila. Tapos sinabi nila, may corruption ba sa customs? Sasabihin ng customs, wala po kaming alam. Of course, they're gonna deny it. Why ask a criminal if they did the crime? It doesn't make sense at all. So yun ang kailangan gawin ng ICI. Kailangan nilang maghanap ng investigator and create an investigative body that's on the field. Yung seasoned, hardened investigators. At sila ang dapat maghanap ng mga detalye to. Honestly, Ping Lacson did a good job with his Senate privilege speech when he mentioned all the things about what was happening with the flood control issue. He went so far into detail na nag-pick siya ng mga areas at nagpakita siya ng mga examples at maraming evidence na hinarap niya, including the actual scheme, the plan, everything. So we need somebody like that really runs this. Yung mga nakita ko parang it's not inspiring to watch the ICI. When I listen to them, I don't know. It doesn't sound like they're really either they don't have the conviction, they don't inspire people to believe in them. Yun ang nakikita kong problema natin with the ICI ngayon.
Interesting. So, sa tingin mo, ICI's parang meron na siyang, there's a big question mark dun sa kanyang sustainability, if not yung kanyang saysay. Is that what you're saying? I mean, couldn't it also be kind of just an addendum or auxiliary lang sa ombudsman? Kasi ngayon, umasa na tayo sa ombudsman talaga eh. Wala tayong magagawa a few months ago nung wala pa tayong ombudsman dahil wala, figurine naman yung dating ombudsman. Etong ombudsman, I think, could coordinate and complement etong ICI na to. So in that sense, maybe it could be more effective.
So yes, the ICI does coordinate with the different agencies. The Ombudsman, the DOJ, the NBI, the PNP, they will coordinate with all of those agencies. Here's the problem. Yung Ombudsman right now, as it is, I like Ombudsman Remulla. I think he's doing a great job so far. But the problem is it is overwhelming. Yung trabaho na gagawin niya, it is, wow, it is a mountain of corruption that he has to climb. I don't know how he's going to be able to do that all in a span of a few months to compile all these cases. And sinabi niya, kakayanin daw nila. They will have to hire so many lawyers to be able to do this. And if you're hiring that many that fast, remember, then bababa yung quality ng mga hinahire mo, bababa yung kalidad ng mga nagtatrabaho para sa'yo, bababa yung kalidad at saka yung quality ng mga investigations at ng mga kaso pag ganon. Yun yung mahirap. Ang hirap talaga ng problemang to. Kaya nga,
Kasi yung kalaban mo, they can afford the best lawyers and everything, right?
yeah, and that's really where I see the problem. So that's why if I were the ICI or the and or the ombudsman, ang gagawin ko pipili ako ng mga pinaka malalaking corrupt na officials. Yung mga pinaka corrupt, yung mga pinaka nakinabang.
Sampulan
At yan
mo.
oo, sa sampulan ko. Yung mga ibang maliliit, baka sabihin ko, o sige, ibalik nyo lahat. Which is true. Nabanggit to ni Ombudsman Remulla that may mga lumapit sa kanya mga kongresista na umamin na, babalik ko na lang lahat. Apparently, I don't know how true this is, pero I read it somewhere na sabi nila, ibabalik na lang daw nila kung pwede parang, ano na lang, slap in the
Quits na
wrist
lang,
and then
quits na lang. Solian na
quit.
lang.
Yeah, quits na lang. Ganun na lang daw. Alam mo, ganito. As much as there's
Sige
a
lang.
part of me kasi that I like what this is where that thought is coming from. Why? Look at Vico Soto. Okay, I'll give you an example of Vico Soto. And Mark, kilala mo si Vico more than I do, but from what I know, Vico, one, hindi naman siya naghabol ng lahat ng corrupt sa loob ng Pasig kasi marami. Marami mga opisyal sa Pasig ay corrupt nung panahon ni Eusebio. Di ba? Ang ginawa ni Vico, sabi niya, okay, sige, kung may mga corrupt, tanggalin na natin. Yung mga iba, kung di ko pa alam na corrupt kayo, o malay mo meron pero wala akong ebidensya, ganito. Umayos kayo sa trabaho nyo, tuloy-tuloy tayo. From this point on, basta maayos ang trabaho, let's just move forward. In other words, wala nang gantihan, walang vindictiveness. It's just, ayusin na yung trabaho nyo starting now, and now you serve the people and we're good. That's it. No looking back. And I think somehow, maybe at the rate we're going, unless we do a full revolution, that is, I don't know if that's going to be an acceptable option considering the alternative. Talagang, wow, ikulong mo na lahat ng mga opisyal na, lahat.
Yeah.
Lahat. Even local governments.
Ayun. Tama si Chris eh. Yung word is yung kulang sa aggressiveness, yung ICI. Doon papasok din yung messaging eh. Kasi dalawang bagay nga yan eh. One is yung actual na ginagawa mo, yung pag-build up nyo ng kaso, yung investigation. The second one is messaging. Dapat mas marunong yung ICI kung paano yung tamang messaging sa tao na gutom sa resulta. Na kasi yung nung in-interview ko si Magalong, una kong tinanong sa kanya talaga, kasi maski ako, ano ba direksyon ng ICI? Kasi maski ako nalilito din, ano ba pinaka-goal nila? Ano ba pinaka-direksyon? Ang clarify naman niya sa akin, ang uunahin talaga ng ICI is yung mga 400 na ghost projects. Kasi yun yung pinakamadaling makasuhan eh. Tapos tinanong ko siya, paano nyo pipiliin sinong lugar ang uunahin? Dahil ang daming probinsya, ang daming lugar eh. Sabi niya, hindi konektado yan, Mark. Ang uunahin din ng ICI is yung nasa top 15 na contractors. Hindi masyadong na-message yun ng ICI eh, na ito direksyon namin, na ito yung mga ito yung mga, so yung mga tao parang ano na bang ginagawa nyo? Kumbaga na ilang percent na ba tayo doon sa plano nyo? Gaano katagal ba magkaka-ICI? Isang taon lang ba sarado na kayo, or will you stay hanggang mapakulong lahat yan? Kasi mahabang kasuhan yan eh. 'Di ba? Gaano ba kayo katagal magano in 5 years time? Pag iba na yung presidente sa 2028, buhay pa ba yung ICI? So,
Right.
hindi klaro in terms sa kanilang messaging kung paano yung magiging overall direction ng kanilang organisasyon. Kaya nalilito yung mga tao. Kasi yung tao, syempre, kailangan mo, you need to build up hope sa mga tao na may makukulong eh. May makukulong na. So, yun man lang sana. Doon man lang sana i-build up
So,
ng
Mark,
ICI para
so
alam ng tao yung direction nila.
so Mark, let me ask. I mean, it goes for all of us, no? What are we expect? I think dapat may Christmas gift sa taong bayan, no? I don't think if walang major development by December, I don't think, you know, this is gonna go in the right. I think magkakaroon ng gulo talaga. May talagang ano eh, mga dapat sasampulan before the end of this year, I think. And again, if you talk to a lot of legal experts, there's parang kaya naman within 4 or 5 months. So that's since what? August? So by December, dapat theoretically, may mga sampulan dapat talaga dito. Whether it's this kaya, whether it's some of these big senators or congressmen. I mean, but of course, sa pagkaalam ko, first wave pa lang yan. So pwede pa isama yung iba. Hindi mo pa sinagot, Mark. Hindi naman related at all dito sa ICI. Pero
Oo.
naiwala ka na pinakamahirap talaga si Chizo Escudero sa lahat ng mga ganito. Ano
Nako,
ang
mukhang nagkamali sila ng estima doon sa
baka kulang ng
sa
zero?
paggawa ng salin nila. Mukhang hindi nila natansya ng maayos. Ang hirap pa syempre, ang iyong misis ay isa sa mga mga top influencers at mga nasa Paris Fashion Week, and hindi connect eh, walang connect eh. So, yun din ang inaano
Baka
ko,
daw
bakit
naubos
masyadong
sa
mababa
daming
naman.
binili. Kaya dapat conjugal ang declaration.
Yun. Hindi, mamaya gusto ko ding i-point out yun na merong loophole talaga pagdating dun sa prenup, pag may prenup
Mhm.
kayo nung Mrs. Boy. Pero yun nga eh. Ang hirap eh, kasi ang hirap ipaliwanag yung 18 million na salin nang hindi mo, kasi mapapahiya yung misis mo eh. Sasabi, hindi, yung regalo, mura lang yan. Yung kumbaga, yung your missus is showing na lavish na lifestyle of the rich and famous. Tapos isasabihin mo, hindi, peke lahat yun. Hindi totoo yun. Wala naman kaming ganyan. Wala kaming ganun. Wala kaming... Iisipin ng mga ay, mahirap lang pala kayo. 18 million, baka mas mayaman pa si Kristan kaysa dito kay kay Cheese. Mas mayaman pa si Richard Darian dito kay Cheese, kay Cheese Escudero. So, ang hirap ng sitwasyon niya kasi yun nga, lalo na dun sa kanyang misis na napapahiya din. Diba? Saan ka lulugar? Saan mo ilalagay yung mo, yung sarili mo? So, baka mas mainam na at least kumbaga, mas mataas naman yung dineklara, di ba? Kasi parang masyadong mababa naman talaga yung 18 million. Kaya medyo mahirap talagang paniwalaan para sa mga ordinaryong tao.
Ikaw, Chris,
Ah,
anong read mo sa poorest
eh,
senator natin?
yeah. Okay, I think ang problem ni Chis Escudero ngayon ay maiimbestiga yung salin niya. At makikita natin kung totoo ba yun at hindi. At pag hindi yung totoo, magkakaproblema na naman yan. Magkakakaso na naman yan. Matatanggal talaga yun sa pwesto niya at the rate he's going right now. Ngayon, tama si Mark na ang loophole nga dito with regards to these prenups at sa asawa mo ay mag-asawa sila Hart Evangelista. At si Hart, pag gumastos yung mga bags niya, lumalabas yung mga bag, mga $20,000, $50,000, $80,000 per bag. At ang dami niyang mga iba't ibang bag. Ngayon, dahil sa prenup, separate nga yung mga property sila at ari-arian. Pero who's to say na hindi pala si Cheese ang nagbibigay ng pera at binibigay kay Hart dahil cash lahat yon. Di mabilis si Hart sabihin na, yep, galing yan sa kita ko and everything. Hart has to be investigated as well. And that's where Cheese's problem will really
Hindi
start to
mawawala,
conflate.
oo.
Oh, mas lalala to kasi madadamay ngayon si Hart. And what I heard, and I could be wrong, and I think it was Attorney Just nga that was the one who put it on social media na parang and again, you can verify this na parang Heart and Cheese medyo parang may away ata yung dalawa ngayon eh. Parang hindi sila nagsasama ngayon eh. And I can understand the stress involved and yun na nga, mali mo nga, hindi alam ni Hart na sobrang corrupt ng Cheese. O hindi ko alam kung paano hindi malalaman yun o kaya tinolerate lang niya. Pero at the same time, eto na, andito tayo ngayon, Hart has to also explain where she gets all the money. Hey, listen, I know that she has money. She gets a lot of good endorsements before.
Yeah,
Pero
but how
remember
much is
now,
that? Maximum 40-50 million pesos. Isang Bulgaria, ano lang yan eh.
Exactly. Kasi kahit na sabihin mo na she's worth, sabihin natin 50 million pesos, 50 million. O sabihin natin 100 million pesos, right? Listen, if I was worth 100 million pesos, I wouldn't, well, that's me. I don't buy expensive stuff. I still wouldn't buy a 1 million peso, 2 million peso watch or bag or I still wouldn't, So may disconnect talaga. So that's why it makes people wonder kung saan ba talaga galing yung pera ni Hart on top of what she declares. Ayan, this is where the BIR comes in. And then this is where AMLA comes in. All of that. And they have to investigate kasi nga, konektado siya kay Cheese.
I want to ask something on this, no? I mean, before we go to the last part of our discussion, ka-text ko lang si Sir Ronald. Marami na may nagmamarites na naman kami on the side. No, Mark, tanungin kita. I mean, what is your take on this whole Heart Evangelista, this heartism, this whole high fashion, splurge, whatever? I mean, what is it? Kasi I see people saying, hindi, maganda yan kasi at least pinapakita ni Hart na Filipinos could be fashionable. It shatters yung mga stereotypes ng mga Pilipino. Kumbaga, she put the country on the map. May pagka-Michelin na yun. Di
Hindi
ba?
ako,
I mean, what is your take on that?
fan ako ni Hart eh. Fan ako ni Hart. Diba, naalala mo yung nag-away-away sila ni Pia Wurtzbach?
So Team
May
Hart
awayan silang
ka.
ganun.
Okay.
Oo, Team Hart ako nung ano na yan. And hindi, kasi sa akin maganda naman kasi yun nga, you get to represent yung mga Filipino sa Europe, sa international stage, kinukuha siya ng mga top brands. So walang masama doon, di ba? At marami naman diyan, syempre, mga ex-deal, mga libreng stay sa ganito, libreng bigay sa ganon. So, and of course, yung family niya is mayaman din naman, di ba? Yung restaurateur, yung kanilang pamilya. So may pera din naman yung pamilya ni Hart. So unfair lang din na syempre natatamaan siya ngayon dahil dun sa kanyang asawa, 'di ba? Pero ito yung big change eh. Kasi nung araw, 'di ba, kapag ano ka, artista ka or maganda ka, kapag nakapangasawa ka ng politiko, parang wow. 'Di ba? Politiko, naku, okay na, ang ganda na. Ngayon parang ano na siya eh. Parang negative na siya, hindi ka makapag-flex, hindi ka makapag. So ang laki ng pinagbago nung panahon and mas maganda yung ganun, 'di ba? Na at least yung mga politiko kumbaga mas binabantayan ng tao. Hindi yung parang tinatanggap na lang, politiko kasi nangungurakot yan. Ang swerte naman ni ganito, ang yaman na nila kasi politiko. Which means parang nangungurakot kasi. So, yun lang. Ang laki lang ng difference mula nung, let's say, 10 years ago, nung nag-asawa tong si Cheese tsaka si Hart, to what is
Sobra
happening
kaya,
ngayon.
Mark, baka naman ang issue dito is not na she's a high fashion icon, na parang medyo sumobra na. Parang parang almost naging decadent, masyadong flex na nangyari. Hindi na siya, 'di ba? There's a way to be fashionable and alam mo naman, and then there's like yung parang pinapamukha mo sa mundo na mayaman ako na parang did it go a bit too much? Kumbaga, to put it nicely.
Yung awayan nila ni Pia kasi siguro Yun siguro baka sa sobrang kasi talaga grabe yung awayan nila
You mean she became
na
more
para
competitive
ganito ganito.
dahil doon kay
Kumbaga
Pia?
nagwa one up sila sa isa't isa eh. So baka
But Pia
ganun nga,
wouldn't do this.
kumbaga
I mean,
lahat
I'm
naman
not
ng
saying I'm
excess
team,
masama.
but Mark, I'm not saying I'm team Pia, but I'm not
Ah,
sure I've seen so many of Pia na million dollar yung mga gets me like she's fashionable. Again, I think kudos to Hart for getting the ball rolling. I think siya pa yun yung pioneer. But a part of me feels Pia was never at the same level as Hart na parang, ayoko naman ng kwentahan yung mga nakikita natin.
hindi naman no, hindi
Medyo,
naman wala din
mm.
naman ganun masyado.
Ikaw, Chris, what is
Yung
your
yung
reason?
yung awayan nila is through different hirit sa isa't isa. So in not necessarily
At
yung
hindi politiko
nagpe-flex
yung
lang
asawa ni
yung
Pia, just to
mahal.
be clear. I think he's just an
Oo,
businessman. So that also matters in
business
my opinion.
foreign businessman. So hindi, yun nga sa akin nga baka lahat ng excess talaga masama. Kapag yun yung Paraiba na yung Paraiba ba talaga bang ano ba yun, 50 million or 2 million, 3 million? So hindi ko alam talaga kung kaya ang hirap kaya ang hirap para kay Cheese kasi it's either 'di ba yung asawa mo medyo mapapahiya na ganun lang pala yun or ikaw naman yung malalagay sa alanganin pagdating sa salin. So
Ikaw, Chris,
yun
what's
siguro
your
medyo
read on this?
sumobra din nga
Yeah.
siguro.
Yun nga, I think medyo sumobra. To be fair, even if you're Team Heart, I think you have to admit, medyo exag recently, and you were basically asking for trouble. Ikaw, Chris, what is your take on this before we get to the last part of our discussion?
Well, for me, bottom line is this. Kahit na sabi mo galing sa mayamang pamilya si Hart, she has not inherited the fortunes of her family, number one. Number two, may mga kapatid siya. Okay? And they don't flaunt the way she does kung galing lang sa yaman ng pamilya. And maraming mga, and I add ko lang, I don't think their restaurant business is doing as well
Yeah, exactly.
as it used to, di ba? So a lot of factors come into play here in terms of Hart's wealth. And with the lifestyle she exhibits versus the actual wealth she has, merong disconnect yan. Meron. Kaya hindi ko sinasabing nagnanakaw siya. Ang sinasabi ko lang may disconnect that has to be looked at. We have to look at this with a grain of salt. That's what we need to do right now. Yun lang.
Gusto ko din
Right.
idagdag na, ay sorry.
Go ahead,
Gusto
go
ko
ahead,
din
Mark.
idagdag na hindi lang kay Hart at Cheese yan eh. It can also be said kay, for example, Senator Kiko and Sharon.
Yeah.
Di ba? Kasi si Sharon is a billionaire. Di ba? So, buti si Senator Kiko mabait, hindi corrupt. Paano kung corrupt pala yung kunyari corrupt yung napangasawa ng bilyonaryong artista. Di ba? So pwedeng itago doon sa salin ng
Yes.
artista eh. So baka dapat i-declare na din joint, pati yung sa misis, madeklara din. Ganun talaga eh. Kung ayaw nyong lumabas yung salin nyo, huwag kang pumasok sa politika.
Yep.
Kasi pwedeng itago eh. What's the point ng ano? De lahat ng politiko na lang ngayon, magpi-prenup na lang sila para matatago nila sa salin ng asawa nila.
Correct.
So
Correct.
yun ang isang loophole sa batas ngayon eh. So sana ma-address din.
Wow, I'm so proud of us because we went 40 minutes discussion without mentioning DDS at all. Hindi mo nga pinatulan dito sa akin. This is an achievement, no? Now we can actually have a proper discussion. Imagine a world na walang DDS. Ganun pala yung level of discussion,
Wow.
no? It's a nice world. Actually,
Yeah.
may content pa rin tayo. Marami tayong
2015.
Exactly. Like this could have been the content kung walang DDS na nangyari. Interesting. 40 minutes, we didn't even mention Duterte. But I want to end on the Dutertes because I think that's important. Ito na guys, November na.
Hindi pa rin makakalusot.
Message na ako, uwi ka na, magkakagulo na sa Pilipinas. Magkano na? Ano bang chismis ngayon latest, Mark? Ano ba, November 15 ba yung rally?
INC rally.
May permit na.
Matutuloy
Gusto ko rin
ba
copy ng
o
permit.
hindi? Nag-apply ng permit, tapos withdraw yung application. So, hindi pa rin maliwanag. Tapos, merong important distinction eh. Yung rally ba nila is for peace, for accountability, or is it a Marcos resign rally? Kumbaga, will INC cross the line? Will it go as far as saying na Marcos resign? Aawayin na ba niyang tuluyan itong si Marcos? Kasi may consequences din eh. Even for a church as big and powerful as Iglesia, kapag you're playing na sa ganong politics na gusto mo nang magtanggal ng presidente, di ba? Merong consequences. Kumbaga mas yung scrutiny sa inyo, yung even yung moral of your followers, of your members na nagagamit sila sa away politika. So, yun ang tanong dito sa November 16, 17 kung ito ba ay for peace and accountability or Marcos resign rally na ba? Of course, leading doon sa malaking November 30 rally na sabay-sabay siguro lahat.
Ikaw, Chris, what's your read? Itong November 16, 17, magkaroon daw ng peaceful rally. Peaceful rally.
Tama si Mark doon, ano? Itong INC, apparently nga, di ba hindi lang INC, di ba? They're going to join forces with the JIL, the Jesus is Lord, or the Joel is Lying movement, and also the KOJC, Kibuloy ano. Pero hindi ko nga nakikita how that's gonna work eh.
United Front yung mga
tatlong religious groups magsasama-sama. Wow, kulto, no? Di ba? Pero, to look at it, honestly, that's where the problem, I think, lies is if they force their cards right now at finorce nila yung hand ng gobyerno by making such strong declarations and kung biglang malaman na meron silang connection sa mga retired generals na naghahanap ng magkaroon ng either junta government o kaya ipabagsakin si Marcos para i-replace si VP Sara, baka ma-force ang hand ni BBM. And I mean, as the president of the country, he has every right and the mandate to protect the Constitution and the institution of our governments. And maybe, you never know. It could happen. I really hope not. Alam mo sa akin, umaasa ako na ito show force nila to, pero they're not going to go that far. And plus, I don't think they're going to get the support of the military, which they're trying to do. They're trying to sway the military to break ranks at saka para to go against the government and to break their oath to the Philippines and to the Constitution. I don't think they're going to have enough muscle to do that. Now, November 30 is a different story. November 30 is going to be where the true indignation rally is. Pero hindi pinapatawag ang pagbagsak sa administrasyon na to. Ang pinapatawag ay para ipapanagot ang mga korap. Lahat ng mga korap. At itigil na yung korupsyon. Yan ang gusto natin mangyari. Tapos leading up to 2028 where this is a reminder for everyone, sa lahat ng mga nanonood ngayong araw na to, na wag na tayo kasi bumoboto sa mga korap. Alam na nga yung korap, binoboto pa nyo. Alam na nga yung abusado, binoboto pa nyo. At ganun ba kayo kamangmang? Ha? Ganun ba kayo kapanatiko? Ganun ba kayo kabulag? Di ba? Yun yung problema eh. Tayo mga Pilipino ang problema eh. May magaganda tayong alternatibo na politiko na pwedeng iboto. Hindi nyo binoboto. Binabalik nyo sa mga korap. Ano ba talaga? Tapos magagalit kayo pag may katiwalian nangyayari. Kayo din naman ang may kasalanan yan, di ba? So, ibabalik ko sa ating mga viewers yan. Mag-isip-isip kayo kung sino mga binoboto nyo at tignan nyo kung tama ba ang pag-iisip nyo. Isa ka ba sa mga bumoto kay Robin Padilla? O kung bumoto ka kay Robin Padilla, for example, o kaya binoto mo si Joel Villanueva, pumunta ka na sa simbahan, magdasal ka na, mag-confession ka na, at mag-penance ka na. Yan. Dahil may kasalanan ka. Yun eh. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I agree with you guys na baka dito ma-expose yung limitations nila, no? The risk here is that baka lalabas na they're not as powerful as they think. Or they might force the hand of the administration, and the administration might want to dig in and dig out, right? So it's a very risky move, but all will depend on their level of desperation. If they really feel moment of truth is coming, kumbaga, use it or lose it, di ba? Parang House of Dynamite. Napanan niya House of Dynamite. Parang use it or lose it situation. Then actually, we're in a very worrying situation. Kaya sabi ko, depende talaga sa third force ngayon, no? Yung totoong kasi para sa atin, 'di ba? Hindi naman issue kung sinong presidente mismo per se, 'di ba? Ang problema nga natin, kahit pinalitan mo yung presidente, kung mas corrupt pang magre-replace sa kanya, you're not solving the problem. Dapat doon tayo sa ugat ng problema, and that's beyond power struggles. Hindi power struggle ang issue natin dito. Systemic change ang issue natin dito. And that's what we have to constantly emphasize. Anything that is just for power struggle, it's a fake anti-corruption rally. It's not really peaceful, right? It's for something else. That's what we want to distance ourselves from. Mark, just to close on this point, what do you think is a challenge now for the progressive liberals, third force, kumbaga? What should they do in the coming weeks and months? Or do you think they're actually, time is on their side, momentum is shifting in their favor?
Prepare for 2028 pa rin. Yun pa rin ang should be number one pa rin doon sa priorities ng mga progressives. Syempre, after nun, yung papanagutin na itong sa mga flood control, papanagutin sa Marcos admin, sa Duterte admin, kasama yun doon. Pero lahat ng gagawin mo na yun, kung matatalo sa 2028, kumbaga you're taking a step back din eh. So importante pa rin yung you're developing na yung champions mo for 2028. Yeah. For example nga yung inatinan ni Cristan, di ba? Nandoon si General Torre with the Liberal Party. So ano ba ibig sabihin noon? Mukhang kumbaga yun ang kailangan gawin ng side ng progressive, side ng pinks or liberals o kung whatever you want to call it. You need to hire winnable candidates. Mga deserving, mga may napatunayan na, tsaka mga kayang manalo na candidates. And while developing from the ranks, di ba? Yung dinedevelop din yung mga sarili nyo, yung mga youth nyo from the ground up, mga grassroots. So I think yun ang direction dapat. 2028 pa rin. Ang number one priority. Pangalawa, syempre, panagutin yung yung mga may kasalanan dito sa Marcos admin at Duterte admin.
Chris, any closing notes? Anong mensahe ngayon for those who are neither Team Kadiliman nor Kasamaan?
Alam mo, don't lose hope. Yun na sa akin. At continue to speak out. It is so important now na lahat tayo nagsasalita. When I say speak out, you don't have to have a vlog. You could speak out in the form of commenting on news, fighting against the trolls, fighting the fake news, sharing posts of the right information. Makakatulong yan. Kagaya nga nung sinabi ni Senator Kiko sa akin, alam mo, there's a special place in hell for those that choose to stay neutral in times like these. You need to take a stand. Lahat tayo, kailangan tayo mag-take ng stand. Hindi pwedeng sabihin ng wala akong pake, ayokong makialam, sitting on the fence, ay ayoko ng politika kasi magulo yan. Kailangan tayo maging political. Dahil po, pag hindi nyo alagaan ang ating demokrasya, pag hindi kayo makialam sa demokrasya natin, mawawala po yan. Tulad ng kahit anong bagay na may halaga, kailangan inaalagaan. Ang demokrasya natin ay kailangan alagaan. At ang mag-aalaga niyan ay tayong lahat. So, ang habon ko sa inyo, ito, na huwag tayong umasa lang sa ating gobyerno na bantayan ang kaban ng bayan, na bantayan na maayos ang kilos ng ating mga mambabatas at mga namumuno sa atin. Tayo mismo maging tanod bayan. Tayong lahat ay kaya maging tanod bayan. As Citizens Watch, sa lahat naman nangyayari, at yan nga nakakatulong ngayon sa ating ombudsman eh. Kaya pati sa DPWH, kaya nakukuha nila lahat ng impormasyon tungkol sa mga katiwalian, sa mga flood control projects dahil po sa mamamayan. So lahat po tayo may karapatan at may tungkulin na magsalita na. At merong mga paraan pa paano magsalita. Marami po yan. Ilabas na natin lahat ng mga katiwalian na nangyayari. Ikwento nyo sa amin. I-message nyo kami kung may mga alam kayo. At tignan natin kung ano magagawa natin. Pero definitely, yun ang mensahe ko sa lahat. Magsalita ngayon ang pagkakataon. Dahil kung hindi kayo magsalita ngayon, I guarantee you, in 2028, mawawalan ka ng boses. Dahil pag makabalik ang mga Duterte sa kapangyarihan, alam na nyo, kahit yung mga DDS sinasabi nila, na ang gusto nilang mangyari ay bumalik sina Sara at saka sina Pulong, papasukin lahat ng mga DDS at patayin ang mga kalaban. Ganun sila mag-isip. Yun ang nakakatakot sa mga DDS eh. Sila mismo, yun ang gusto nila mangyari. Na magkaroon ng vengeance, na patayin o pakulong lahat ng mga kalaban. Ganun sila mag-isip. Hindi lang iniisip ang bansa, iniisip lang nila ang mga Duterte. Yun ang pinagkaiba. Kasi nasabi ko sa inyo lahat, kung mahal nyo ang ating bansa, ang bansang Pilipinas, kailangan nyo ipaglaban itong bansang to sa mga panatiko at mga authoritarians at mga ganyang klaseng tao na hindi na sa tamang pag-iisip. Yun lang.
Richard, gusto ko din idagdag lang, mabilis lang. Yung example nun sa New York, yung kay Ma'am Dani. Kasi tuwang-tuwa ako, pinapanood ko yung mga videos eh. Yung populism from the left naman, from the Democrat side. Yung hindi siya masyadong nakikialam sa culture wars masyado. Hindi yun yung number one na ano niya. Nakafocus siya sa solutions eh. Tapos nakafocus siya laban doon sa trapo politics na nangyayari doon sa kanilang city. So I think maganda merong ganun din eh. Kunin din yung lessons na pwedeng kunin doon. Ng mga local na mga progressives natin na kung paano niya ginagamit yung social media, kung paano siya yung mga solutions niya. So ang gandang example lang nung kay Ma'am Dani na ginagawa ngayon doon sa New York.
I was actually thinking because of the passion of Kristan talagang medyo nagbang.
Sorry.
Although of course I appreciate, that's why I said perfect to end on that note. Although unfortunately, even though Zohran is trying to avoid culture issue, all of these Islamophobic attacks and on all of him shows that whether you like it or not, those issues will be forced on you. But mukhang he's gonna be a successful, youngest and most radical mayor, which is an interesting indication of where things are going. So ito yung favorite ni diba? Favorite ni Mark, disruptor, right? This is the age of disruptors, right? So on that note, without discussing na Barzaga, kasi parang nalalaos na kagad si Barzaga. Let's close this note. I'm very proud of us. We only dedicated 15% of our discussion at most to our DDS friends. So there's life after DDS because probably we have to prepare for that. Kung maging laos na talaga sila. Salamat guys. God bless and talk to you soon. Maraming salamat.